Hi, this is the Culty Geek. I'm Spike Robinson, and this is my co-host Monia. And today we're going to start a mini series on Harry Potter, and we're going to look at both book and movie. And we're going to try to do these in book by book, movie by movie, of course. And we're starting off today with Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone, sometimes called the Sorcerer's Stone, because, of course, we Americans didn't know what a Philosopher's Stone actually was. Right, Monia? Anything?
Yeah, I mean, you don't have to feel so self-conscious about that because the reality is that the French translation was not good enough for Quebec. They needed their own. So you're not like, I know you think you're special because you needed a special title, but they needed a whole special translation for the whole thing because they were like, no, we can't use, no, Quebecois.
I know that Quebecois and Parisian French are different things totally. And okay, guess which version? Less than 45 minutes away from the border. Which version do you think I was taught? The version that's being spoken just a few miles away?
No, there's a border there.
No, I was taught Parisian French.
Yeah, well, also Swedes learn English. They almost all learn with an accent. So,
Well, for what it's worth, I'm told when I speak French, I speak with a British accent.
Oh,
Je ne sais pas pourquoi, mais c'est stupide. So I've got a whole list, and I want to say first off, I love these books. I love the world building. I am not dissing it or saying that it's bad, though everybody's going to think that after this list, because when I was reading through it with an eye of looking for abuse, coercion, cultiness, manipulation, everybody is bad in this one.
There's a lot of questionable decisions going on, both like pre the situations we're in, where you're like, why is this happening?
Yeah.
And also within the film. Yeah, but it adds, I understand that it adds to the storytelling and all of that.
And as we discussed in last week's episode with the Buffy Vampire Slayer, healthy relationships do not make good TV or movies.
I will say there is one healthy relationship that I thought was depicted really well, and that was the couple in Medium, but that's it.
That's
it. Yeah. And they had plenty of other stuff going on,
Yeah, because think about, just to go on a brief tangent. We never do those.
Love the tangent.
Every rom-com, stocky behavior.
Oh my God. Yeah.
They hate each other at the beginning, and he just keeps persisting and saying sexual innuendos. And
I've been told by a guy that they were like, yeah, but statistically, perseverance is good for finding a mate. And I'm like, so you just want to beat some woman into submission? Like, what are you talking about? Like, what? No. When you cave because you're like, I've had enough, is not success. That's like,
no. Any case, but there's also the other obligatory disclaimer that when we're talking about culty for this, we're not talking about the witchy stuff, because unfortunately, there's a whole bunch of folks out there that think that these books are culty because they're practicing witchcraft, and we've got to separate that out right away. It's not the beliefs. It's not who you think you're worshiping. It's the levels of abuse, the levels of control.
Yeah. And there can be cults that, try to practice witchcraft or, believe that they are, but that's not really what's happening here. Yeah.
My own abusive group was very, very witchy, but then also afterwards, I belonged to a group that wasn't that abusive. It was just warm and fuzzy and believed in all sorts of stupid stuff, but wasn't abusive.
May I take a moment to ask you to promote your episode?
Yes. If you want to see that episode where I talked about my culty experience, it's now up on Rachel Bernstein's wonderful channel, Indoctrination. Link in the description below. Moving on. And you saw the headings, what I did. Everybody is awful. So we're going to start with number 1. Ding! The Dursleys are awful. First of all, there's this pathological need for normalcy.
Well, not even normalcy. It's just something that they've decided that everything should be like, right?
Yeah, it's their
Yeah.
version of normal.
Yeah.
The first sentence is so telling. Say what you like about Jo Rowling. She can write a sentence.
Mm-hmm.
Mr. and Mrs. Dursley of number 4 Privet Drive were proud to say that they were perfectly normal. Thank you very much. Yeah. So there is this, first of all, yes, them deciding what is normal.
Yeah.
And then being almost pathological. Anything not normal is
I mean, it's not normal to house someone under the stairs.
This is true. This is true. So it's their version of normal. Yeah.
I mean, I hope that's not normal. I feel like,
to quote Aunt Lydia in Handmaid's
Handmaid's
Tale, normal is what you're used to.
That's so true. Yeah.
Yeah. But, so yes, okay, anything not judged by them as normal is met with furious anger.
Oh, yeah. Aggressively.
Aggressively so.
Like, yeah.
Harry says, I dreamed about a motorcycle flying. Motorcycles don't fly!
It's like, what are their dreams? Do they understand what dreams are?
No, because they doesn't like imagination.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
And also, he's upset by people even wearing unusual clothes. He probably hates me with my hair.
I'm not surprised that the kid is just like eating away his feelings because, I mean.
And when we find out that Harry's magical, we swore to stamp it out. They don't like imagination. Like I said, questions are forbidden. Now, this is a big marker for any culty group. And he says, nothing wrong with you, Harry, that a good beating wouldn't cure. And he is physically abused, telling Harry the world was better off without his parents. Your parents were killed and the world was better off without them.
I mean, here's the thing, which would not, no, it wouldn't work in this story, but I'm just thinking like if they wanted to, quote unquote, stamp out his magic, which they just mean that he would like to be a normal person, right? And would probably reject Hogwarts. Maybe they should have included him in the family and made him feel so loved that he wouldn't want to leave.
Yeah.
Just a thought.
Just a thought. Good thought. Actually, though, if we want to bring in magical beasts, because in magical beasts, they establish when then you do this to a kid, what happens? They get something called that obscurus because the magic has been pushed down so far that they have this little thing and it bursts out.
Oh, wow. Okay.
When it can kill people in a whole cloud. Yeah. Oh, and then there's also this wonderful phrase that Dursley shoots off to Harry that is echoed by Malfoy and by Quirrell, or is it Voldemort? It's your parents came to a sticky end and they deserved what they got because of what they did and who they were.
I want a movie or something. I mean, sure, prequels, universe, whatever. I want something that focuses on Draco because he is such an awful person, you know?
He is an entitled little git.
Yeah, so I'm like, how could you? How could you redeem him? Is like, I'm like, I would like to see somebody that would try.
Cursed Child suggests that yes, I think.
Oh yeah, that's right. That exists. Okay, sorry.
Yeah. That actually Draco, because remember, spoiler alert, 7th book, Draco and Harry do kind of end up on a nodding acquaintance. Not friends, but not enemies either anymore. But we're still way earlier in the list than our Draco stuff.
Yeah.
Putting Dudley on a pedestal, enabling Dudley's physical abuse. And not only of Harry, but also of Vernon and Petunia. He's kicking his mother down the road, begging for sweets in the first chapter of the first book. He smacks people with his smelting stick.
I feel like I've encountered kids like that.
Enabling Dudley's tantrums. So when he does the only 36 presents, I had 37 last year. He wants his money's worth, just like his old man. Basically enabling his greed. But then we also have, they know damn well this is wrong, even though they say that they're normal. They know it's wrong. They bring a friend to the zoo in the book, Pierce Polkiss. They wait until Pierce Polkiss is safely back in his own house for yelling at Harry.
Yeah, this is like flashbacks, kind of.
Yeah, you hear it from abused kids.
Can't they come home? If we have some friends over, things are gonna be so much nicer.
That friends made things safer. Having somebody at the house made it safer. And also they have in front of the ice cream lady, they weren't going to get him anything, but she already asked, what would you like? Yeah. And I'm sorry, I'm going to be trying out all sorts of UK accents throughout this thing. Please forgive me.
I'm into it.
At me, comment down below. So they know that also once they find out that the letters are addressed to the boy under the cupboard or under the stairs in the cupboard, they move him to the room because somebody knows. Mm-hmm. So even though they think that they're justified in the abuse, they know deep down it's wrong. Mm-hmm. Because if it wasn't wrong, then why hide it?
I bet that they would, though. Like if someone came and asked, they would be like, but you don't understand. He has something inside of him. They probably are.
If it went to actually seeing it in the front, but up until that point, it would be no,
they would never know.
No, of course not. No. It's alternative facts. So Petunia spies on the neighbors. That's a minor point, but I thought I'd put it in there. Vernon is insane and will stoop to abusing Dudley if pressed. He bullies his subordinates at work, and he's all about information control. He's not letting Harry know about the magical world. He's not letting Harry get his letters. When Hagrid finally shows up, I forbid you to tell him. And also they hide that Harry even exists there. No photographs on the mantle of him. There's the golden child and there's the scapegoat, and the golden child has all the photos. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then also, making him sleep in a cupboard underneath the stairs. And now, is this a British feature? They have that thing under the stairs as an actual little cupboard on the side.
I've been to houses where that's like a little bathroom. I have been to houses where it's like just like storage, but it's quite small. I guess the child would fit in there, but it's not really there's no window, like there's no airflow.
But is that that's got to be against the law?
Well, it's got to be against the law to withhold his post. I mean, I feel like that's against the law in every single country that has posts.
Should be. You know, Wally said, though, I don't know how it works in England, but if you keep a child that's not biologically yours, you get some sort of child payment, don't you? Depending on country.
That's a good question. I don't think I know anything about that, actually.
Nor do I. Anybody who does know about that, you know what to do. And also in the book, they abandon him at the train station. Now that is illegal.
Oh, it's insane.
Yeah. Oh, ha, 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 ha. See, I guess your lot didn't build the station yet. So there you go. And
then what? They're waiting to hear something about like, oh, we found remains. Oh, like it's just like it'll work out.
Yeah.
We'll never have to see him again.
What if there wasn't a station in 9 3/4? The cops would come and I don't know. And also, once they know that they can't bully him and the bullying isn't working, what do? Silent treatment. They pretend every chair that Harry's in is empty, which he finds depressing.
Of course.
So that's the Dursleys being terrible. Then, title card, Harry's grammar school is awful.
I wondered about that because I was thinking I was really lucky that there wasn't bullies at my school, but I'm also like, how are they just accepting this? 2
kids, same household, one very well fed and very well dressed, and the other in absolute rags and scraggly and desperately afraid of all the others.
Yeah.
Do you think that in how many years? 6 years? Because they probably started when they 5 or 6, right? So from the age of 6 to the age of 11, nobody noticed a thing. And also no one in the whole school. In my school, even with the bullies, there were a couple of people that would talk to you. Their school would have had to be really wicked small to have everybody under the fear of just one bully.
Yeah. Here's a side question. What do you think is because I did ponder this watching the movie, how much of this is Harry Potter's perspective? Do you know what I mean? Like, is it him just being like, no one is like there?
Yeah. And maybe he doesn't notice. Because I will say from my own experience, when I was in 12th grade and we were at graduation dinner and somebody who I thought hated me all along came and said, why don't you ever say anything? I said, because you all hate me. And it's like, No, we don't.
Oh yeah, oh my God. I've had that stuff in adulthood, like where I'm
Yeah.
like, people are like, oh yeah, she's like interested in you working with us. I'm like, I thought she hated me. They're like, no, she thought you hated her. I'm like, okay, this is what is going on right now. It's like, what?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, there is also a very, 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 very sad fan theory that we'll just get out of the road,
Oh, okay.
out of the way right now,
Oh.
that all of what happens after Harry arrives at station 9 3/4 is totally his imagination.
Mm-hmm.
He's making it all up and he's still stuck in his cupboard and he's totally and completely just, and that's it.
Yeah. I mean, here's the thing. Sure, you can have that theory because you
That's
technically
so
can't
sad.
even. Well, yeah, but let's be honest. You can't prove that we're not in someone's head. So whatever. Yeah, feel like you can't prove it. So might as well just enjoy the,
No.
you know, enjoy the, I don't know, the landscape. I'm losing my words. But
I
yeah.
also don't understand, though I have seen it. What is the idea of teasing people because they're poor?
Yeah, I mean, this is
Or teasing them because they can't have the best clothes. It's like, ha, your parents are poor. It's like, and
no, it's definitely a thing. And
if I were a teacher and I saw some kids bullying a kid for being poor, I would use that as such a teachable moment. Pull them to the side, say, okay, did you choose your parents? Did you choose what family you could be born into? Was being born into your family your fault?
they might say yes because they do feel. I feel
Oh,
like
God,
children
yes.
at a certain point do feel like the world revolves around them, and it's
I
like,
know, but it's not fair, and that's all I have to say about that. Let's move on to Smeltings. Dudley's school, and Dudley's and Vernon's old school, is awful. This is just one point, but smelting sticks were used for hitting each other while the teachers aren't looking. This was supposed to be good training for later in life. Next, Harry is a bit of a... He really is. Petunia said Dudley looked like an angel. Harry often said that Dudley looked like a pig in a wig. Now, I can understand he's angry, but still. Or Harry wants to learn how to curse Dudley. Now, once again, justified anger, but still, that's not right.
no.
Just because somebody else hurt you does not give you the right to use your supernatural powers to do bad stuff to them. Harry is delighted at any pain, embarrassment, or anything that Malfoy experiences. He is delighted. He has schadenfreude up the wazoo.
I will say for that, I'm fine with that, but that's because Draco started it. So he has been very antagonistic.
Two wrongs,
and nothing actually happens. No. Of course, two wrongs don't make it right, but I understand why this 11-year-old.
Oh, yeah. And also, I gotta remember that he is an 11-year-old. I gotta remember that. But Harry looks forward at the very end to terrorizing Dudley.
I was thinking about...
Not right? And once again, spoiler alert, according to Pottermore, Harry and Dudley end up being, if not friends, then at least cousins that see each other on holidays and their kids meet and play with each other.
Wow, that's interesting. Okay.
Yeah, they exchange Christmas cards and gifts and spend holiday family time together. Kind of says a lot about Dudley and Harry. Or, like in the movie, Dudley falls into a cage with a boa constrictor. Harry laughs. Or in the book, they're in the Forbidden Forest. Has Malfoy been hurt? I don't care. You don't care if somebody you know has been hurt? I don't know. I mean, I can think of all my personal bullies in school. If I knew that one of them had been killed by some creature in a forest, I'd still probably care. Then in the movie, in that final scene, spoiler alert, he out and out kills Quirrell.
Yeah, that was a lot more definitive than I expected.
Yeah, in the book, it fades to black and you don't
and
know.
And also the chess game. In general, there was like a lot of things where I'm like, aren't like 6-year-olds watching this? I'm like, they're gonna have nightmares.
But yeah, Harry finds out that Quirrell can't stand to have his hands on him and he's crumbling into dust. Now, if you knew that somebody was going to crumble into dust as soon as you hit them, even if you're 11, Would you reach forward and put your hands on their face to kill them?
I'm not sure that I buy the explanation either. It's like your skin has love, therefore it. I'm like, what?
Yeah, just like the feeling the curse whenever Quirrell turns his head.
Oh, that, yeah. Oh my God.
That was not applied consistently. Yeah. If you want consistency, go elsewhere because it ain't happening here.
Maybe Hermione should have challenged that at some point. It's like, you seem to only bring that up.
She would be that guy. Here's some of the other things now. Would an abused or bullied child wake his main source of physical abuse just to annoy him? In the book, there's a scene where Dudley is asleep and Harry realizes it's his birthday, and he says maybe he'd wake up Dudley just to annoy him. I'm sorry, no. If you're an 11-year-old child and another child is your main source of physical abuse and bullying and being beaten up, and he beats you up anytime he's got an excuse, and you have no reason to think that you are going to be safe from him at any time in the future because the other people in the family would literally hold you for him, would you wake this person up just to annoy him?
Here's my defense.
Okay.
And this is where, and I don't know if this is actually how it could work, but my thought is, isn't it possible then that he is just so aware of the abuse? And as you say, he remembers it's his birthday. So he's like, it's going to come anyway today. Why don't I just going to do it? And like, not in a conscious way. I feel like there's a lot of unconscious.
Well, there is the cycle of abuse where the abuse happens. And though these guys don't seem to follow the cycle of abusers either. A real abuser would abuse and then gaslight you into thinking it's your fault, and then everything would be fine. And then they might even, I'm sorry this happens. You know that you really should be better. And then there's a bit of peace, and then it escalates again. It's never all the time, all abuse all the time. There is a cycle of violence that anybody who has lived through abuse knows all too well. Maybe just to get it started and over with. Also, there's a scene where the male's here, make Harry get it, and Harry pipes up, make Dudley get it. No. Or in Madame Malcolm's Robes in the book, Harry just stands right up to Malfoy. Why do you think that cults go for folks who are a little bit vulnerable? Because you're less likely to call out bullshit if you're so starved for friendship that you will literally accept anybody as a friend. So that didn't ring true to me. And then also things like in the movie, the snake's asleep and he raps on the cage and Harry shouts right up at Dudley, he's asleep. It's like, I'm sorry, but any abused child I know use that tone to the abuser and the father abuser, they would be grabbed by the ear to somewhere private and whacked for about 5 minutes. And also, he's just, to my mind, does not present as an abused child. He's too assertive. He acts as a leader rather than a follower. Now, maybe it's down to personality, and it could be, but he seems too assertive, too sure of himself, too able to stand up and say, hey, that's wrong.
I mean, I did think about that he was very gung-ho about a lot of the things. And it's like, no, I have to do it. Like there was no convincing him that because of all this stuff, it's like, listen, you're the only one who can do it. And then it's like, does it reluctantly and then gains confidence or whatever. But
yeah, he's definitely not presenting. I mean, if you want to see somebody who presents as an accurate, and I don't know if maybe Jo Rowling went and looked it up or had some people tell her what an abusive relationship really looked like. But if you go into the 7th book and you look at Merope Gaunt, Voldemort's mother, there is a perfect portrayal of an abused child in the nest of the abusive family. Only in the book. They leave her totally out of the movie, of course. Anywho. New title card. The wizarding community is awful. Let's talk about the statute of secrecy here. We've got to keep ourselves hidden, and Hagrid's line is bull. I'm going to call it. He says, oh, well, people would be wanting magical solutions to their problems all the time. It's like, no, sorry, it's bull. Calling it right there. You're isolating a community to the point where Ron Weasley, who grows up in Ottery St. Catchpole, to the point where his brothers mentioned flirting with the girl at the card shop, but they don't buy groceries there. They don't engage in commerce enough there to the point where Ron might actually recognize a 50 pence piece, because he doesn't recognize the 50 pence piece as money when he first sees it. That to me says somebody who is seriously isolated from the outside community. When you don't even recognize the surrounding community's money, you got a problem.
But he really is in a family that is entrenched, right? Like,
they're generations.
Yeah.
In fact, what was it? Oh, my mom had a cousin who was an accountant, but we don't talk about him. Oh, yes. They live in secret. They've got separate currency, separate words, separate customs, separate children's stories. We find out in the 7th book that they don't know about Cinderella and Sleeping Beauty. They know about Rabbity Babbity and the Cackling Cauldron and all those lovely tales. But they do celebrate Christmas. Are there no Jewish wizards? Are there no Muslim wizards?
Well, maybe you just have to adapt to whatever Hogwarts.
This is England. There should be a fair amount of Hindi wizards, Muslim wizards, Sufi wizards.
Or are they in a school? Well, I actually don't know where Hogwarts is supposed to be.
Scotland.
Okay, yeah.
North Scotland.
So what if those people are all like down in Wales, some Welsh magic school?
It's the only one in the whole of the UK.
Okay, well, what about Northern Ireland? No, wait, Ireland.
Still. You'd have to send him there because we don't know which part of Ireland Seamus Finnegan is from. But it's so isolationist. And why do you isolate people?
Who pays the tuition?
It's state paid.
I see.
Yeah, it's state paid. Everybody's free. All they have to do is buy books. And there's also a fund if you're too poor.
Okay.
Yeah. That was actually mentioned. That was before she went totally crazy and started telling everybody that before toilets, they used to excrete right into their robes and magic it away.
Oh, yeah, that's right. It's so funny. I appreciate, I mean, it's gross, but I will say I appreciate it only because I remember that insane thread about astronauts. And they were like talking about, So I'm like, I've read.
And we could get into
about astronauts. So you know what? I'll take it.
Oh, and then also in The Isolationist, the mirror of Erised, that is the mirror of desire, that mirror that you stare into and you see all your heart's desire. And mine would be seeing you guys like, subscribe, and share this video. In any case, the mirror of Erised, however, when Harry looks into it, he sees his family because that's his deepest desire, is to have a family of his own. Oh. But it only shows the Potters. It doesn't show Lily's side of the family. Now, is that because it's patriarchal, or is it because it's isolationist because Lily was Muggle-born?
Yeah, can they see... Has Hermione ever been in front of the mirror?
No, we don't see what happens. Okay. Only Ron.
Because that is interesting, actually. Would Muggles just not even be part of this equation?
So they don't even matter enough to show up in the mirror of Erised. That's the other thing, is that powerful in magic equals good unless you've gone bad. You're the greatest wizard if you've done this. If you have that magical strength, magical power equals being good. Yeah. So say that I'm just this regular wizard. I work in Madame Malkin's or in Bertie Bott's beans shop. I'm not that powerful a person, but I'm a nice person. But somebody who's really, really strong in wizardry is better than me somehow. It seems the more power you have, the more famous you are. They put your faces on chocolate frog cards.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds pretty standard to me.
Okay, then also, should we mention Quidditch?
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
People only die once in a while, and referees are sent away to the Sahara Desert for a few months. Seekers are routinely fouled. Also, forget all the stuff about the fact that their scoring doesn't make any sense. We already know that it doesn't make any sense.
I don't even understand the points for the houses. I'm just like, why are we doing this?
Oh, we'll get into that a little later. That's down lower on the list, Dom. Any case, but Quidditch, okay, you've got 11, well, not 11-year-olds, but you've got teenagers and then also adults too for the adult sport. up on broomsticks, couple 100 feet high in the sky, that are designed to knock them off their brooms. And you're not telling me there's not a single spell, and you don't see it. You see people actually falling. You see people actually nearly dying falling. That it's not standard procedure to have a spell about 10 feet.
Yeah, something that bounces you off very softly.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Nerf that.
like a nice little net. Yeah.
Yes. Nerf that stuff.
But yeah, I was thinking about that because that's a very pivotal moment where they see like Snape, and they're like, oh my God, he's trying to kill me.
But still, Quidditch is an entirely stupid game and also a death trap. We'll get more into that.
Yeah, but let's be honest, there are a lot of sports in this day and age that are death traps, and somehow there is no
American football is, however, I will say they are getting better now about some of the brain injury stuff, but it's still like, excuse me, you've basically switched to filter tips. You haven't quit smoking yet.
Yeah. Well, because one of the most notable cases that I know about is there's a documentary called The Crash Reel. I don't know if I've talked about it before. That's snowboarding and like skiing, but the guy is a snowboarder and he was going to go to the Olympics and was like basically equal to Shaun White. But then he got a traumatic brain injury when they were training, and they cover a lot of that. And these are sports where their helmets are not actually made to withstand the heights that they're up at. So it's like, I guess if people die in Quidditch, I'm not even surprised, because our real sports don't even care that the helmets don't actually.
Well, this is true. This is true. Any case. Okay, the treatment of the less magical in this world. And also now they don't mention squibs in the first book, but they have this passage here. And if you're not reading it as, haha, this is just another little part and funny, it is actually horrifying. This is Neville Longbottom talking. My gran brought me up and she's a witch, but the family thought that I was all muggle for ages. My great uncle Algie kept trying to catch me off my guard and force some magic out of me. He pushed me off the end of Blackpool Pier once. I nearly drowned, but nothing happened until I was 8. Great uncle Algie came round for dinner and he was hanging me out of an upstairs window by the ankles when my great auntie Enid offered him a meringue and he accidentally let go. But I bounced all the way down the garden and into the road. They were all really pleased. Gran was crying. She was so happy. Her son just dropped her grandson out the window after hanging him by his ankles.
Yeah, I mean, this just really sounds like religious extremists that are just like, yeah, of course, you must somehow show that this faith, whatever, is in you. So, like, why isn't it happening yet?
Yeah, and then let's see. You should have seen their faces when I got in here. They thought I might not be magic enough to come, you see. He could have been killed by his great uncle at the age of 8. Dropped him off a Blackpool Pier?
Well, I guess that's a magical family, so I suppose maybe that's different. But I'm thinking about the show Charmed that has magic in the world. And in there, they smartly bind children's powers, because it's like you can't have a 2-year-old that could do whatever, because they're just like, they're gonna, children can't, they would explode the house and they wouldn't even realize that they're doing it, right? So I do feel like this would be somehow better if it was somehow it doesn't actually come out until they hit puberty, maybe, like it doesn't mature.
Yeah.
So then there's no need to be swinging a child around and being like, boo.
That is just so wrong, though, from any point of view. They clearly do not think of Neville as a real person in for himself. They only value him insofar as he's got magic.
Oh, yeah, he needs to validate their,
Poor kid. And I'm sorry, but he grew up to be the cutest of all of them. He's a very handsome young gentleman.
I feel like there's 2 that I knew of that. Well, obviously Arpats was already considered a heartthrob at that point. And then I think the guy, is his name Oliver, who's the head of the Quidditch team?
Oliver Wood.
Okay, yeah. He's also some actor that I think's
Yeah.
working and doing
Well,
some. They're all actors.
Yeah, they all do. I mean, I might as well, while we're talking about it, Rupert Grint, who plays Ron Weasley, he did an excellent job, even I think better than John Malkovich in the Hercule Poirot ABC Murders. Very good as a reworking of Agatha Christie, and unfortunately, they add this very stupid backstory in for Poirot. And I'm sorry, no, bad adaptation, no biscuit. But Rupert Grint is excellent in it. And he's up against John Malkovich, who plays Poirot. But okay, so we know that their mistreatment of their less magical people, who will be known as squibs in later books. Now, let's talk racism. Harry thought Flint looked as if he had troll blood in him.
Does he even know what trolls are supposed to look like?
At that point, I think they've already seen the troll from Halloween.
Okay, but no one looks like that troll, because that troll is like...
Yeah, I know.
You know?
And also notice that all of the races that they disapprove of, the trolls, smell. Now, that is something that used to be said, unfortunately, about those more recently come from Africa.
Oh, interesting.
I used to hear it all the time from my old folks. It's even, sadly, in Sherlock Holmes. There's one where...
That sounds par for the era.
Oh, yeah, it's par for the course. They're up against the pugilist who is from Africa, and they do the demassa and things like that. It's like, oh, God, no. It's really bad. So that when he says, "You reaching for your gun massa, Holmes?" I hate to say it, but that's the actual line. And he says, "No, for my scent bottle." Yeah. That's a disgusting part of our history, but it did happen, and that was usual. So that that's what I hear when I think of when they're talking about the trolls.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's an excellent comparison.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, yeah.
Okay, let's see. Goblins have clever, swarthy faces with hooked noses. They have long fingers and they love money. We're not even going to go there, are we? They're doing an anti-Semitic thing here.
Yeah. That is interesting. So they created a whole entire different being.
One of the nasty things about saying, "Oh yeah, they're so greedy," is that, well, let's see, throughout the Middle Ages, I'm talking about the Jewish folks here, not allowed to hold land, not allowed to have certain professions, being chased out of every city, and then you tell everybody that they're greedy.
This is something that is used, the saying people are greedy is definitely used a lot for like multiple groups of people, and I'm trying to think of like how
Scottish folks, but it's like the British having nearly starved the Scottish to death, and then creating this.
If you ask for anything, that's too much. And I think, if I may be controversial for a moment, I will say I think it's a bit the same with the people who now use Karen for everything. Like, if you just complain about something, you're like, "Okay, Karen," it's like, okay, well, do you actually even know?
Yeah, and speaking as somebody whose biological name is Karen, though I haven't used it for decades, actually. So, but still, can you imagine what it would be if it's your name being used for entitled, horrible person?
Yes, I know. That's why the Brits were upset, because Karen was a very common, like, lower class name there. So they were like, "Why the fuck are you being classist?" And they're like, "Oh no, it's a different kind of offense." But
here in America, it was a very, very common name for only a very short amount of time, and then it all but disappeared.
I just still think it should be Susan after Susan Smith.
I think it should be Grunkilda, or something that is not anybody's real name.
Okay, fine. You're sure.
Something,
and also a men's one.
Or better yet, let's go back to Yahoo, because I believe Yahoo as a search engine is gone now.
Yes.
Because from Jonathan Swift, the Yahoos were these subhuman, greedy, entitled, filthy creatures, worse than swine.
I love that. I'm going to adapt that. I'm going to start using
Yahoo hashtag. Okay, so getting back to, they're not the friendliest of beasts, and centaurs are are subhuman species and also very badly rendered in this movie.
Oh, I have to say, I gave them a pass on all of the CGI because
It
we're
was
watching it.
what?
I think it must be like early 2000s, no?
No, I don't know. I'll put it up on the screen below. Oh, and then also just in casual racism here, whatever the hell the 1637 Werewolf Code of Conduct is. Hermione mentions it once. There is a 1637 Werewolf Code of Conduct.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, oh, really? Thank you very much. And of course, when we get into later books and we find out what their treatment of werewolves, we'll find they're really racist against people who have been bitten. Victim blame much?
Yeah, in one way, it's like, well, this is highlighting all of the worst of humanity itself.
You're right. It's just a microcosm of humanity. Okay. Their contempt of muggles.
Yeah.
They regularly put spells on muggles to keep them from spotting or remembering dragons or where various magical things is. Now, we find out later that if you get blasted by too many obliviate spells, your brains get scrambled after a while.
Yeah.
What if you happen to be one of the people who lives near Scotland and you keep running across Hogwarts and getting blasted with their forgetfulness spell?
Yeah, I feel like it should be easier to just be like, they just can't see them, but also
why are they keeping separate? Anyway.
I just don't. Well, yeah, sure. Well, I think the alternative, probably the argument is that if they were all present, they would turn into an X-Men situation, but with witches and wizards, where they're like, we gotta get you, we must eradicate you, like,
that's sort of supposedly what happened pre-17 whatever it was when the statute of secrecy was adopted.
Yeah, I feel like there should be some sort of, I don't understand why these children are able to just like do magic, like the things that they can mess up and do magic on each other, like that's insane. And then
every time there's a muggle born who exhibits magic powers, they have to let more people in on the secret. Look at Hermione. And also, I was thinking before we said hello that looking at all of this through the eyes of, say, Hermione's parents.
Mm-hmm.
If you were Hermione's mother, would you feel good about her going to this school? We'll get down into that when we talk about Hogwarts specifically. But I would say that their contempt of muggles is enabled through the isolation. I'll put a link in the description. There was a Pew Research poll about acceptance of gay people. And people were more likely to accept somebody who was gay if they knew somebody who was gay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because it humanizes, right?
Yep. That is all of a sudden, it's not this them. It's, well, that's Joe down the street.
Yeah, the isolation 100% contributes
enables
to that.
all the, and then later on we find about muggle baiting, where people will sell them door keys that shrink and things like that, or exploding toilets, and that's a whole sport.
Wizards can also be sociopaths, I guess.
Oh yeah. And then I would point you, and anybody who's got the book, I would go to the chapter where Hagrid first breaks in and does the "You're a wizard, Harry," and Dursley and Hagrid shouting at each other back and forth. It's bigotry shouting at bigotry, shouting at bigotry. These are not two people that neither one of them sees the other as a human being.
I feel like you said somewhere, why is Hagrid even there?
Oh yeah, we'll get down to him. We'll talk about Hagrid. He gets his own section bigger than Harry's.
I mean, this whole thing is very much a death trap. Like, yeah, I know that you basically wrote that in here.
You're jumping the lead again.
No, but it is a death trap though. Like that, like.
Yes, but you're jumping the lead here. We still.
Sorry.
That's okay. I'm just being, but I mean, they forbid expelled students from doing magic. Once again, how does that work with the Obscurus?
Can't you get a magic GED? Can't you go to community magic college?
I know. Like, but no, you can't do magic anymore because you were expelled from school.
Do I want Hagrid doing magic? No. But do I want him living at Hogwarts? Also no.
And also, when you've got an extended reality where it's canon that if you don't do magic and you force yourself not to do magic,
you'll explode.
This big black cloud comes and starts killing everybody around you in explosions. Yeah. And you eventually die. Let's see. fear of Voldemort. Let's talk about phobia induction and you know who. Now in the book, it's people going, don't say the name. Yeah. Dumbledore has no problem. He says fear of the name only increases fear of the thing itself.
Yes.
But the wizarding world is still very stuck on fear of that.
It does come off a bit to me like, those mirror games where it's like Bloody Mary. We can't say it because if we say it, he's going to somehow hear it. And he's going to be like, ooh, did someone ask for me?
In the 7th book, once again.
Oh, yeah, sorry. You're skipping ahead.
I know. They bring in that he actually sets a curse on his name so that anytime anybody says it, he does have.
Well, look at that. Maybe there was a reason then.
Yeah, maybe. And then they do this whole thing with dark side and light side, and that's black and white thinking. There's a dark side and a light side to magic. Oh, good. I think it should be what harms and what heals. And yet they're able to do curses and Ginny Weasley's bat bogey hex. Is that not dark magic? Where she gives people little flapping bat snots? Also, Harry worship and gawking. They're all looking at Harry. Now, here's something that I thought. Instead of taking Harry and putting him with an abusive family that they know is abusive, or they should have known after year 1, why couldn't they have quietly changed his name, slipped him away, and let him live with another magic family, but not let anybody know who he was?
Yeah, why can't he just be adopted in Magic World?
Yeah, well, there is.
Why couldn't he be adopted by the Weasleys? Like they have 500 kids already.
And they could they could use another child allowance to feed. Then it would be totally weird, him and Ginny getting together once they're adults.
Well, we could skip that. He could go with someone else instead. I don't know. That's the only family I could think of.
Yeah, I was thinking Neville's family.
Oh, okay, sure. Yeah, there you go.
Because they were born on the same day, you could even say that they're fraternal twins.
Ooh.
And nobody would know. Sorry.
No, they send him back at the end.
Well, the stated reason is that he has to visit at least one full day a year in order to activate the protective anti-curse that his mother put on him.
Okay. Well, one day is not all of summer.
They could just have him visit for one.
Because I was just thinking like
period.
Towards the end, and they're like at the train station, I'm like, okay, Hermione is going to be like, you're coming with me, right? Or Ron is going to be like, yeah, you're staying with us. And then they see how awful the parents are. Like, they're not asking him to come. Oh, no. Okay. He's just, okay.
Yeah, okay. Bye. Okay. Go have fun with the
I'm like, Hagrid knows what this is. Yeah. I'm assuming Dumbledore knows. Like,
yeah. But of course, it's okay for you to terrorize Dudley with the idea that you might do. That's a way to foster a serial killer. Oh, and then also in the magic world, God, the rumor mill. I heard this. I heard that.
That sounded realistic to me because it feels like it would probably be a smaller community. I mean, it has to be if there's only one school for all of the UK.
Yeah.
So it doesn't surprise me that they would have.
I think only one for America too. Ilvermorny.
I would love the plot twist that there's like
Central Europe, and it's all girls in the movie.
You know what would be amazing is if there was actually plot twist. There's like 5 schools in India and like 5 in China because they're like somehow they're just like blowing it out of water over there. I don't know what's going on. Like
if you wanted by population, if there was only one in UK, you'd still probably need 5 because think about the real populations of China and India have 1.3 billion each now, I think.
Yeah.
So that literally 1/3 of the world's population is either Chinese or from India.
Which is why I want to campaign for Doctor Who from Asia.
Yes.
It's supposed to be average. It's supposed to be the average human. I don't even watch Doctor Who anymore. But like when I learned that he was supposed to be the average person, I'm like, this is ridiculous. I was fine with it being
blue-eyed.
I'm fine with it being. I was totally fine with it being a white dude up until whatever because I'm like, I don't know, it's your story. Do whatever you want. But when they started,
you got this telephone box that can visit any place in the universe, anytime, any place in the entire universe. I'll take modern London, please. No, anytime, any place, anywhere in the universe. Modern London, please. No, you can have any time. Christmas, modern time, London.
Yeah. Anyway, side note, Doctor Who. Yeah. Anyway.
Oh, we don't do tangents at all. Okay.
No.
Oh, and then also people are laughed at for lack of magic, for having unfashionable toads, for being in Hufflepuff, or for having funny smells.
This feels very real in a like gross way. And I wonder if maybe that's why I was never caught up into this as a child, because I'm like, this is not a better alternative to the real world.
No.
This is still terrible. Like, I would probably have a shitty toad, or like, I would be like, I love this toad. And they would be like, what is that?
Yeah. Oh, and then also sentient playthings.
Mm-hmm,
Chessmen are sentient in the book. They give advice to you while you play with them, and then you put them away in a box. And in the movie, the chocolate frogs come alive.
Oh, yeah, they come alive. Yeah, that was scary.
In the book, the magical keys are trying to escape, and you hear a loud crunch. You can turn a toucan into a water goblet. Is that ethical? Or
no,
a mouse into a snuff box?
We can point out that magic in general in mainstream has not been very ethical. Throwback to Buffy episode where I believe in the episode we watched, there was someone who had been turned into a rat, and she is a rat for most of the series.
They mention it.
Yeah, until she manages to turn her back into a person. But yeah.
Yeah, they mention it. Actually, I wouldn't mind living as somebody's pet rat. I think that would be fun if they gave me one of them little habit trails.
Yeah, you'd have to be with someone who very much appreciates the rats.
Yeah. So, any case, this has been the Culty Geek. We've been looking at Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone, both the book and the movie. Like, share, subscribe, send us some money so I can keep on editing these.
She does a lot of hard work on that.
Thank you. I do. I love it, but it's still. And let us know what else you'd love to see us cover. We're not just going to do these, and we've done a lot of Star Trek. Check it out, and check out all the other videos on this channel. It's not just a channel, it's a whole encyclopedia of subjects. So check out our playlists. And thank you very much for watching, and we'll be back soon. Have a great day.
Hi, John here. Thanks for watching. We'd appreciate it very much if you would click like, as well as subscribe, and click the bell for notifications. Every dollar helps, and we welcome new patrons on Patreon, or you can make a one-off payment with any currency through PayPal. Thanks so much.
Yeah.
Just a thought.